Welcome to Ali Fitness Podcast, a weekly production all about bringing health into fitness. Alex Klein was born in Germany and immigrated to the US when he was 16. From a punk band musician to a physicist solving the world's energy problems to today, the CEO of a very successful online yoga network. Alex has indeed followed a path less taken on his journey through life. So Alex, welcome to the show.
Hi, great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Excellent. So I know you've just moved to Spain from Thailand, so I really appreciate you coming on so quickly. But I guess I wanted to start by asking you about your career. It's fascinating. So you had a career in plasma physics. And what did you fix? I believe you fixed the energy issues of our planet or something along those lines?
Well, that was the goal, sure. It didn't work out. I was a musician and got into sound engineering, and that led me into physics, and that led me to plasma physics, which is the sort of study of fire. And the main goal in plasma physics is to build a fusion reactor. Nuclear fusion is what powers the sun, and if they can get it to work, it will provide the planet with virtually unlimited, 100% clean energy. And in 1999, I think it was around then, I had this idea for trying an approach that was very different from what most of the people in the field are doing. In the midst of the financial crisis, somehow after 10 years of trying to find someone to basically fund a project where we could build a prototype, I found some very big VCs who were willing to give it a go. And then I assembled a small team and we built a fusion reactor in a garage in Boston, just outside of Boston. And it didn't work in the end. We discovered new kinds of instabilities that had never been discovered before because this was a new kind of way of containing plasma. I basically proved that it could never work, which made the investors very, very happy because they were afraid that it would turn into sort of a black hole of never ending. Need more money. So this was sort of my life stream at the time, but it wasn't that devastating because while we were working, hitting the planet with virtually unlimited clean energy would not save the world at all. Because people are kind of like bacteria. They would just take up more space and consume more and basically use whatever is available until they would just drown in their own excrement kind of thing. I think the way to deal with the future as regards energy is to learn how to live with less, and population seems to be stabilizing. So I'm pretty optimistic that things are going to be okay.
Right. So in a way, you sort of solved it within yourself. You decided that people would just learn to live with less. And I guess that's your path now, is helping people learn to live with less.
Yeah. There's a thing in the West that a lot of people seem to think that they can consume themselves into sustainability by buying all the things that are recycled or somehow green or fair trade and all these things. What's happening is that people just keep buying more and more and more stuff. And no matter how green some product is, it's still consuming energy and resources and things like that. We seem to be getting a bit better per capita, at least in the West, about reducing our footprint. But really, it's a self-correcting problem. People will just run out of stuff. Things will become too expensive. It will be extraordinarily difficult to, fly someone around the world in a jet that blasts who knows how many liters of jet fuel into the atmosphere. We'll just figure out how to communicate like we are now over the internet instead of just flying around the world to meet someone for a business meeting. There are a lot of things that will just automatically self-correct because people basically deal with whatever they're given.
And tell me, how did you take that leap from, I guess, plasma physics to where you are now, the CEO of a successful online yoga network? I guess let's start at yoga. How and why did you discover yoga, and how's that played a role in your life?
So after this fusion project, my wife and I had the chance to travel around the world for an entire year. And we took that chance and we started in India and discovered yoga. I mean, I'd heard of it before, but never tried it. And then as we continued traveling, the name of the game was find a yoga class, find a yoga teacher wherever we went. And it was pretty extraordinary how diverse the community is and how many different styles there are, and what passes as one kind of yoga in one place is something totally unexpected in another place. So we kind of got the idea for something like Yoga Trail. It was back in 2008, 2009. And then it just so happened that I was teaching physics at a university in Thailand. And as part of being a professor, you could sit down in on any kind of class at the university. And they had interesting classes about business and web entrepreneurship. And so I sat in on one of those, and the students had to come up with a project to pitch to pretend investors at the end of the project. And I'm not to blame for Yoga Trail. It was my wife. It was her brainchild. And she was like, oh, let's do Yoga Trail. And we prepared a pitch, and I, played along in this class. And at the end, there were actual business people from the local community who were kind of the judges, kind of like the Dragon's Den kind of thing. And that's where we met our co-founder, Sven, who is partner in an agency that builds massive web apps and websites for BMW and Red Bull and big clients. And he liked the idea, and so we got together and formed Yoga Trail. It all kind of happened by chance.
Yeah, right. And so your year fascinates me, your year of traveling the world and doing yoga. Do you recall your first yoga class?
The very first one was in Kerala with a high school teacher who taught yoga at the local high school. And it was a personal, 1-on-2, basically. My wife is also called Alex, so it was Alex. And this guy who had a voice that sounded like a bell, and he put us into a very relaxed state on the floor in the jungle. Yeah, it was very intense. And I have had back problems pretty much since I've been 20. And just a week of daily early morning classes with this guy made a huge difference with my lower back. And it made a huge difference with our state of mind. So the female Alex was quite phobic about insects and things. And I remember the third day at 5 a.m, there was a massive spider crawling over her stomach. And she was aware of it, and she was, slightly perturbed, but we were trying to relax and get into a meditative state. And she just let this spider walk over her. It was pretty amazing.
Wow. So were you hooked straight away after that experience?
Yeah. It was really great to discover something that you could do pretty much anywhere. We ended up getting our own yoga mats just a few weeks later. And it was great to see that there was this community everywhere. In every country that we visited, there were lots and lots of yogis. It was just the perfect thing while you're traveling, where you don't need a lot of equipment. You don't need a lot of instruction. Even if you end up in a place where there is no yoga class or anything, you can practice like in your hotel room or whatever. It was really the perfect thing to get into for a wellness program. I'd been doing gymnastics for many years before that. So I was, really into stretching and exercise and all that kind of stuff, but I'd never had that mental aspect, sort of the mind part of it.
Great. So your visit to Thailand turned into moving to Thailand, I believe.
Yeah.
And how did that all come about?
I had just finished this big project, and my career was pretty much over as a physicist because I wasn't interested in just working for a government lab, which I'd been doing for a long time, as part of a big machine that never really does anything exciting. We were traveling through Chiang Mai. Our plan was to stay for a week, but it was really lovely. I don't know if you've ever been there, or for many in your audience have. It's an amazing place. It's really lovely. And so we stayed a month. And then I, by chance, was offered a job at the university, Payap University in Chiang Mai. And so then we stayed another few months. And then this thing happened where we started Yoga Trail, and that very quickly became very intense. So, we met Sven, our co-founder, December 2nd, and I think December 5th, we agreed to form a partnership and do this Yoga Trail thing. So that was my last semester teaching. And then since then, it's been full-time Yoga Trail.
Amazing. I'm sure a lot of our listeners are very envious, because I think you can imagine once you get into fitness and health, you want to stay there and be there for as much as you can. And so a lot of our listeners look for careers in the field that they're interested in, which is fitness and health. So it's amazing that you've got to be able to do that. What exactly does the Yoga Trail platform or network do, and who's it for? Can you tell us a bit about that and how it works?
Sure. So Yoga Trail is a network. It's a platform that serves two kinds of people. The yoga students, people who do yoga, of course, and the yoga professionals. We're mainly focused on teachers because we think they are the key to everything that's happening in yoga. So for a teacher, it's a platform that provides them with free tools to manage and grow their business. They can post their classes, make beautiful profiles and publish their events. They get a messenger where they can communicate with their yogis in a reliable way, all sorts of things that they need to really run their business. Part of the reason a lot of yoga teachers, or in fact, almost all yoga teachers, are unable to make a living with yoga is they're really passionate about yoga, but they're not so passionate about business and, being organized about what they do. And so we help with that. And for yoga students, it's a way to keep up with their yoga teachers. So around the world, generally, except for maybe in China, yoga teachers tend to be freelancers who teach in many different yoga studios, gyms, alternative venues. They do private lessons. They do all sorts of things. And it's not so easy as a yoga student to keep up with your favorite teachers. One is difficult enough. And if you have several, usually people have a few teachers that they really like. It becomes a chore to plan your own yoga schedule for the week. You have to go to several different studio websites, look through the schedule, visit several Facebook pages, that kind of thing. So on Yoga Trail, yogis, which are the students, can follow their favorite studios and teachers and then get all their classes and upcoming events and things happening in one simple place. So you can just basically log into Yoga Trail and see your personal yoga world.
Great. And can they book in online or on Yoga Trail?
Yeah, that's part of the tool set. We have a total booking platform. People can make classes available or events, packages, 10 class passes, whatever. Teachers can even accept subscriptions from people for like monthly unlimited access, stuff like that.
Great. And is it expensive for the yoga teacher to use your platform?
Well, it's totally free. Of course, we're a business, so we need to pay the bills. So the booking platform is such that we collect 7% platform fees. And we also have paid marketing plans for yoga professionals, which, aside from getting them more visibility and some marketing, also makes it so then they don't pay any platform fees. So it's up to the yoga professional to use our platform totally for free. If they use it for bookings, we try to make some money from those bookings. And if they get a lot of bookings, it's a better deal for them to just upgrade to a paid plan, which are very cheap. So for a teacher, a monthly plan is, I think, $8 per month.
Right. And you said you specialize with actual yoga teachers. What about if a yoga business, a company that employed several yoga teachers, wanted to use your platform? Would it be appropriate?
Absolutely. The companies that employ several yoga teachers where it's still appropriate, but it's not so easy for them, are really larger studios. So there is a big company out there called Mind Body Software, and they make software for bigger studios that's very powerful. So they can have 20 teachers. The software does payroll. It even does your taxes and that kind of stuff. And Yoga Trail is not that sophisticated or powerful, but smaller studios that have maybe 5 yoga teachers there, it's, I think, a very good platform for them. The larger studios, they have so many classes per day, and they usually use something like MindBody. There are lots of competitors to MindBody too. And then it becomes quite a chore to update things on Yoga Trail as well. And we, unfortunately, at the moment, do not have an integration with MindBody. They don't seem to be interested in that. We're very interested. For really large studios, we're having a hard time sort of getting them to play along with the Yoga Trail. But most studios out there are quite small. And certainly yoga teachers are sort of a one-man show kind of studio. For them, we are very appropriate, I think.
And I think, like you mentioned, a lot of yoga teachers, at least very good yoga teachers, are freelance. So they do go to lots of different studios or gyms.
Yep. So part of the problem for yoga teachers is that they are quite dependent on studios and gyms. They show up and teach classes, and the studio handles marketing and making sure that people come to class and those sorts of things. Although many teachers also bring their own clients. But what ends up happening is that the studios and the venues are taking most of the revenue. So we know quite a lot of studio owners who are doing very well. We don't know that many yoga teachers who are doing very well. And it doesn't really need to be that like that. And Yoga Trail, we understand that many studios are struggling too, but we want to empower yoga teachers. We know that a lot of yogis, especially the ones that are a bit more serious, go to a class because of the teacher, not because of the hardwood floors of the studio or the convenience of the location or something like that. People tend to want to take classes from 1 or 2 or 3 teachers who can really help them on their journey to go deeper and deeper into yoga. And so we feel that it's all about the teachers, and we can really empower them to manage their business more independently. So half the teachers out there don't have a website. They just use Facebook by and large to give them an online presence and to communicate with their yogis, and it totally doesn't work. It's very dysfunctional. And so we can fix that. Yeah,
I think, Alex, the Yoga Trail mission really resonates with me, and just that empowering of yoga teachers. And I also noted on a social media site that Yoga Trail is on a mission to make the world a healthier and happier place. So how do you do that?
Well, we think that we can help yoga teachers do better in terms of their business. And their business is repeat customers, people who may have come to class, but they're not coming for some reason, either because they didn't know about this particular class going on or because they weren't enticed by their teacher. So the teachers need to remind people to come to class and motivate them and inspire them. And since we help them do that, we feel like we're working to get more people to the yoga mat more of the time, which is, of course, great. And we envision a future where we help teachers organize basically smaller classes in alternative venues, even in people's houses, where the yogis would pay about what they pay in a studio, but it's 5 to 6 people instead of 40 people, where the teacher gets most of the money. So they're, doing as well or better than if they were teaching in the yoga studio. But now with 5 or 6 people being served by one yoga teacher, there's a lot more opportunities for more yoga teachers to serve those 40 people that would have been served by one yoga teacher in the studio. And so we're basically about making teachers have more opportunities, getting more yogis into yoga, people who've not done yoga before. We're working on just general ways of attracting people to yoga and then discovering yoga trail and all that kind of stuff. But mainly getting the people who occasionally do yoga to do it more, to practice more yoga and get more serious about it.
I'm fascinated about how do you get people that have never done yoga into yoga or starting that first yoga class? We have a lot of athletes who listen to the podcast and they're often very much into their training of their specific field and therefore find it very hard to put aside time for something like yoga, although many of them would admit that they would benefit from it. They often say they're too inflexible to do yoga, which always makes me laugh. But
that's the reason you should be doing yoga.
Absolutely. So how do you get those people? How are you helping the world become a healthier and happier place by getting those people involved with yoga?
Well, we have a number of strategies. We have a big thing planned later this year, which is to build a series of referral programs to help yoga professionals get more clients, which works by giving them tools so they can leverage their existing clients to bring them new clients. So basically offering their students a free class if they bring in a new student, that kind of thing. We imagine that this could go gangbusters and get a lot of people going to yoga who had never done it before because their friend is sort of pressuring them to come try it. Both people would get a free class. The yoga teacher would be very happy to have a new client who hopefully will become addicted like so many of us are to yoga. And it's a win-win-win situation. And we hope to subsidize that so that we would actually pay for this first class for the people.
Excellent. Well, that's a great way to do it. So another thing that I'm very impressed about, with Yoga Trail is I've heard a rumor that you're looking for investors and that you're taking a slightly different approach. And I guess the reason being you want to help empower yoga teachers, perhaps. Can you tell us a little more about what you're doing?
Right. So we're a startup, and startups of all sorts generally try to figure out a new kind of business model. And on the way there, they take investment from investors, often in Silicon Valley. And we have a few Silicon Valley backers. We're at the moment doing a crowdfunding campaign. It's an equity crowdfunding campaign where people can basically buy a part of the company. It's a new thing in the United States that wasn't even legal until a year and a half, 2 years ago. And we want to do this to give people on the platform a chance to own part of the platform, because this is great for us because we don't just get money to do things such as the referral program I just mentioned, but we get ambassadors and advocates who are more invested in the platform literally and who will tell their friends about it and that kind of stuff. And so we're raising a round of investment right now on a platform called Seed Invest.
Okay, and we'll link to that in the show notes. How does that work?
Seed Invest is a platform for various types of companies to do equity crowdfunding. In our case, legally, I'm not really supposed to talk much about the specifics of the deal, but it's all there. So people can go to seedinvest.com/yogatrail and see basically all our financials, all our metrics, our recent history, our growth, details about all our team members, and of course, deal terms. It's all there. I'm not sure if you're going to have a link to my contact information, but people are certainly welcome to get in touch with me if they have any questions about anything or even would like to get on a call or something like that.
Absolutely.
I'm always eager to do that.
Yeah, we'll link to all of that. And so can you tell us a little more about what sort of investment you're looking for, how much, and where that money would go? Because I do know that there are a lot of yoga teachers who listen to the program as well as fairly affluent people that look to invest in platforms that make people healthier and happier. So can you give us, I mean, I don't want you to go into details necessarily with figures, but as much information as you can in terms of also how you're going to spend that money.
We have a goal of $300,000 and a maximum of $1 million. If we hit 300,000, most of the money will go into technology. We've accumulated quite a lot of technical debt over the last 4 years. We need to rebuild a bunch of things, and it's time to do a redesign on what's called the front end, so the user experience. We'll put a lot of effort into that. And then there are marketing plans that we have. So this referral program for yoga teachers and studios, we would like to subsidize that and basically pay people to bring in more users and also get more people into the yoga lifestyle. And we have a few other plans involving yoga influencers, people that are kind of big on social media. I should say that up to now, we've not spent any money on marketing since we launched Yoga Trail. Most of the users come in through referrals because teachers bring on their students because the platform works better for them when they have their students on there following them because they can send messages and things. We have incentives for yoga teachers to bring in the studios where they work or to bring in other yoga teachers. So we have a feature where you can ask your, what we call the Kula, the group of yoga teachers in your network, if anyone is available to sub a class for you because you might be busy on a particular day. And alternatively, you get notified when someone in your Kula is looking for a sub, so you get job opportunities. So there are lots of reasons for teachers to invite other people, both students and other professionals. But we've not spent any money on advertising, really. So we've never spent any significant amount of money on Facebook or Google or any place else.
Alex, just one question about that. So obviously teachers can get teachers to sub for them. Can teachers also advertise for yoga instructors on your platform?
Do you mean can studios try to find teachers?
Yeah, or other teachers looking for other teachers to employ, yeah.
It's planned in our product map further down the road. There's been a lot of demand for that kind of thing. Certainly a lot of yoga teachers are always looking for opportunities, but also studios would like to reach out. At the moment, basically, the platform has a very good search function, so you can find an Ashtanga teacher with a certain amount of experience pretty quickly in your local area, and then you can just send them a personal message.
Great.
But yeah, we do have plans for making sort of a job board type feature.
Excellent. It amazes me that you said you've spent no money on marketing and yet you've been this successful. How many users do you actually have on the platform at the moment?
We have just shy of 60,000 yoga teachers on the platform and around 200,000 yogis who've signed up. And we have a lot of people who never really sign up to make an account, but they use the platform. So since we launched, we've had around 5 million people looking for yoga classes or teachers and studios and finding them on Yoga Trail.
That's pretty amazing considering you haven't spent any money on marketing.
Well, it sounds impressive, but it's actually a tiny drop in this ocean that is the yoga market. There are 300 million people now, roughly, in the world who are practicing yoga. So most people in the yoga community have never heard of us. And, you know, I talk to a lot of people about Yoga Trail. And whenever I meet someone new who doesn't know that I'm the CEO of Yoga Trail and I know that they're into yoga, I ask them, have you heard of Yoga Trail? And roughly 1% of them have.
Wow. So there's a lot of room for growth. And if you're listening to this podcast today and looking to invest, then this could be a good opportunity. What's the minimum investment that one can make through the platform that you're looking for funding on?
So it's crowdfunding. So it's meant for the little guy, although the minimum is still $500, which for a yoga teacher is a lot of money. And most yoga teachers are unable, to invest in a startup. And they shouldn't, even if they could scrape together 500. Investing in a startup is a risky business and it can take years before the money comes back and you make a return. But for the people that know about startups, the potential for return there's a huge potential, basically. The early investors in, of course, Facebook or Uber or these kinds of things that, they made tons of money. We aren't going to be Facebook in terms of how big we're going to grow, but our plan is to really be a major player. Our exit plan is to go in the stock market.
And have a lot of like-minded investors, which is great.
Yeah, for sure.
Excellent, Alex. Look, thank you for sharing that opportunity with us today. And I'm sure people will get in contact with you directly, if not through the funding platform. Before I let you go today, can I ask you a question that we asked all our guests on the show? One which you might find strange, but do you have a tattoo?
I have 2 tattoos, one fairly large one and a very small one after that, yeah.
Can you tell us a bit more?
Well, sure. I'll start with a small one. It had to do with a love affair girlfriend who, for one reason or another, demanded that I tattoo her name on my neck. And I was so madly head over heels in love that I didn't hesitate and got that done. And then pretty much 3 days later, she dumped me. And the whole thing had been some kind of ploy. And I covered it up with flower, a lotus flower. So that's that one. The bigger one was when I was very young. I was very much into an artist called Escher, MC Escher. And there was one drawing in particular that resonated with how I understood the world. And so I put that on my stomach when I was 18.
Wow, that's awesome. 2 interesting
So what's the deal with the tattoos?
Oh, we just wanted to find out about your ex-girlfriend.
My name was Joanne.
Excellent. Look, thank you very much, Alex, for coming on, and we'll be in touch with you about potential investments. It's great.
Awesome. Appreciate the opportunity.
Great. Thank you. For all the resources and show notes from today's episode, please go to www.ali.fitness. If you liked today's episode, please show your appreciation by going to iTunes, give us a 5-star review and subscribe.